Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet and of YouTube. I am Skajaramas, and welcome to Jibber Jabber. With me today, we don't exactly have a very full house. We've only got two guests. We've got one of my patrons, Paladin57.
Hello.
And showing up for only her second time on Jibber Jabber, we've got Tangerine Blast.
Hello.
Yay. So yeah, not a whole lot of people here, but there is an upside to that. It means you won't be talking over each other a whole lot.
Yay.
Yeah.
Sorta.
Yeah. So how's everyone's week been, or in Tangerine's case, a few weeks since you haven't been on here in a while?
Yeah, busy.
Tangerine's circle is lit up, but I am hearing nothing. I suppose I should preface by saying that Tangerine's mic doesn't always work right.
Yep.
Beep, 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 beep. Are we getting Morse code in here? I just heard some beeps. What?
Beep, 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 beep. Get to the wire. They're sending us a message. What does it say? Oh, they need more tang.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yay,
Yep.
There you go. Don't know how long it's going to last, though. I seriously don't know what it is, but the voice chat does not like you. Let me try decreasing the bit rate a little bit. That might make you come through a bit more clearly, or at least more frequently.
What the?
What?
Oh, they have me. Discord has me listed on offline, even though I am on set to do not disturb.
You're listed as do not disturb for me. We're just
never
starting off.
mind.
We're just starting off wonderfully here. So many technical difficulties. The second I hit start recording. Tangi's
Hey,
voice
it
is
is.
silent. Paladin's computer is fucking up, and I'm powerless to do anything about either of them. Pardon my language. I pardon my language. Trying to tone down the swearing for Tangi's sake on this one.
Yes. Seems like I'm doing better than Tone.
It's second nature for me. I don't think about it. It just happens.
Same here. But usually it's just, it comes out. But now, since you're like, all right, you need to tone down like swearing. It's like, all right, I need to bring everything I'm going to say back and then run through it. And then say it.
To be fair, it was only really at the forefront of my mind yesterday. Today has been kind of all over the place for me up until just now, so. But, your mic keeps cutting out, Tangy. We still haven't heard how your few weeks have been. I heard E.
Oh,
The cutting out is...
what's happening right now?
I don't know. All I know is you keep cutting out, and I'm only catching snippets of what you're saying.
Huh.
Is your mic plugged all the way in?
Yeah, the episode where we try to take care of the technical difficulties.
In the middle of the episode, no less.
We just started, not the middle.
I mean, my point still stands. We're in the process of recording, and we're trying to solve the difficulties that are popping up in it.
Fine, let's just agree we're both right.
Let's just agree that things are broken.
Yes.
I am so
Just-
sorry. Go ahead.
Just move on without me. Go to the first topic.
Okay, I mean,
All right.
that whole sentence came through clearly, so very well. Well, we don't exactly have an extensive topic list this week because a bunch of the people who would normally contribute to the topic list are kinda not here today. So either we're gonna have to improvise a lot of side tangents, or we're gonna have to really take our time on the three topics that I actually have lined up. And the first two pretty much lead into each other, discussing the most recent two episodes. So if you're not all the way caught up in MLP, if you haven't seen Breakup, Breakdown, or Molten, then go watch those and come back. We're going to be talking about them, so spoilers will be a thing moving forward.
Oh, I haven't seen the breakup.
Well, I mean, too late.
Anyway, in other words, viewers, spoilers.
I literally just said that.
Yes, I know.
I
I just did a better job.
I mean, that's subjective as heck. Anyways.
Remember, Tom, we're both insane.
This is why I wanted Tom here. Anyways, so breakup breakdown. I guess I'll go first because reasons.
You're better explaining things than I am.
I guess. For what it was, I enjoyed it a fair amount. There were some parts of it that kind of made me cringe a little bit, and there was one part that actually kind of pissed me off. Specifically, it was when Discord started playing Puppet Master with Big Mac. For context's sake, at one point in the episode, there was a lot of miscommunication in the episode. That was kind of the whole point, was teaching a lesson in communication and not eavesdropping and jumping to conclusions. Now,
Yes.
due to some eavesdropping, miscommunication, and missed context, Big Mac wound up under the false assumption that Sugar Belle was going to break up with him. Now, this was incorrect, but we'll get to that. So, and, Discord and Spike have pretty substantial roles in the episode, as they're the O&O group, guys and all that. And after a while, Discord's trying to cheer Big Mac up by telling him, well, I mean, you don't need a girlfriend. You can just lean on a bar and look cool and stuff.
Yes, and then tried to hook him up with a fantasy character.
Tried to hook him up with a 2-dimensional cardboard cutout of a skeleton lady. Which didn't really work very well. That actually reminds you of a thing that I'll get to here in a minute, but I'm still talking about the thing that actually kind of pissed me off. So after a little while of back and forth with Spike and Discord trying to cheer Big Mac up and nothing working, and he's drowning his sorrows in cider and crying.
Regular cider, not hard cider.
The way his eyes were all bloodshot, I would disagree. It's open to interpretation. It's never specified.
Yeah.
Anyways, but eventually, Discord, being the sleazy little dickbag that he is, I gotta curse there.
Hey,
Yeah, I know, but I had to for that one. It's the only thing I could think of that actually matched up. But
Manipulating
being the
2 times
being the jerk that he is, he more or less started poking Big Mac into basically beating Sugar Belle to the punch, so to speak. And that actually seriously irritated me. Discord lost a lot of the points he's earned with me for that one moment. And a lot of that has to do with how I feel about relationships and personal relationships and romance and the like. I have very strong personal opinions about that kind of dynamic and environment. And so when someone steps in and starts interfering with it, it really rubs me in all the wrong ways. But outside of Discord doing that heinous action, the rest of the episode I felt was enjoyable. Not the best episode in this series, but I had fun with it. And we can tell Spike's going into puberty because in reference to that Skelenor, the 2-dimensional cardboard cutout of a skeleton that Discord created, at one point they're finally about to start their game of Ogres and Oubliettes, and Spike asks, is Skelenor going to be there? And Discord, and this says a lot. Either he's getting so desperate that he's willing to grab cardboard, or he's going into puberty and his hormones are starting to rush more than they were before. One or the other. But
besides, I agree on the Discord part. I did not like that. When I saw it, I was like, oh, come on. But at the same time, I was like, I can understand because he's, the god of chaos.
yeah, he's the god of chaos, but I honestly believe he should have had more respect for Big Mac than that. I mean, the guys are friends. Let's be clear here.
Yes.
So, I don't know. I feel like he should have been at least a bit more respectful about Big Mac's situation than that.
I don't know. During at least what I've seen, he seemed to really hate the concept of romance in general.
Oh, yeah, he absolutely did. And Spike spent the whole episode trying to get him to open up to the concept. And we know now that Spike totally ships Fluttercord.
Oh yeah.
You don't go to Fluttershy's house every week just because you want to drink tea. His immediate defense, but I do like teas. I love teas, all the teas. And then he listed off like a bunch of tea.
Yeah,
In one.
it's canon.
Yeah.
Oh,
That ship just sails itself. It doesn't need fanfics.
I love the deal that hey, if Spike can't do it, he has to do Discord's lawn for the rest of his life.
With tweezers.
Yes.
Tweezers. Also, Lyra Bond is canon now.
Been canon for forever.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like, the people could still operate off the notion that just friends because of like their dialogue. But no, we saw like the two giving each other gifts on Hearts and Hooves Day and then snuggling up. It's like, oh yeah, that's a relationship. That's romance. They're a couple.
Come on,
the
that's just friends thing.
the naysayers can shut up now.
I was gonna say, for a while, people have been doing that, just shipping the two.
I mean, it's an easy enough ship to make. They're always next to each other whenever we see them.
Sure enough.
And I know you haven't actually seen it, but from what you have managed to glean, what do you think of it, Tangy?
Minutes
I didn't catch the start of that. What?
and 5 minutes.
There is one thing I'd like to clear, something I hope they clear up in the thing is, is humanity in the, in a peace, canon, are they a myth or just a fairy tale where they're not existing? Because I know the way Lyra sits, she sits like a human.
I mean, that's just a funny coincidence, but as it so happens, Equestria Girls was canon, so...
Dimension.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who are the Crusaders in this episode? Because they... You aren't talking about them.
They were in the episode.
Yeah, they were... kind of supporting roles with their own little running gag. They were a part of the miscommunication.
Yes, apparently the post office made a mistake because Big Mac made a pie for
Sugar Bell.
Sugar Bell, and it went to Sweetie Belle instead.
Yeah.
The Sweetie Belle thought she had a secret admirer.
and she and the other CMCs were going all over town trying to figure out who it is. Sweetie Belle even walked next to Snips and Snails like, did any of you send me something? I won't be offended if no. Please say no, please say no, please say no, please say no. I do not want one of these guys to have the hots for me.
And
No.
even one of them, one of the Crusaders went up to Button Mash and asked him.
Yeah,
he got offended.
Yeah, it was Scootaloo.
Nice.
Scootaloo went up to Button Mash. Are you pro or against sending non-signed letters to ponies you admire? And Button Mash just kind of frowned like, dude, what? And then picked up the pace to get him. I was like, no, get away. I'm late to the arcade. I forget who Apple Bloom asked.
I'm not sure. Oh, she asked Pipsqueak.
Oh, yeah. No. And what about you, Paladin? Your overall thoughts on the episode?
Besides Discord, it was a pretty good episode.
Yeah. And it carried a good message, make sure you communicate properly and that you don't have misunderstandings. Otherwise, you get, well, all kinds of nasty.
Yes.
So
I know that one too well.
Same here. I've been in situations where miscommunication caused everyone problems for over a year. So I won't
be honest,
get...
I think that's usually a guy thing.
I mean, it depends, really.
No offense, Tangy.
And silence.
And taken.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay.
Oh, for a second there, I thought she got offended. I was like, oh, I'm in whole heap of trouble.
Yep. Anyways. So, well, that conversation on that episode didn't last as long as I had been hoping. But, oh well. I can't really think of anything else about that episode that immediately stands out to me. I mean, we did get to see Derpy in her position as mail mayor and kind of the inner workings of the post office a little bit. They seem to have it working like a very well-oiled machine in there, and it's kind of neat to watch.
I wonder.
They still screwed up his package.
Yeah, they smudged the name so that instead of like Sugar Cube's like, oh, Sugar Bell's from like, it's kind of smeared, but there's a Bell here. The only person in this town that I know who has the name Bell is Sweetie Bell. Let's take it to Sweetie Bell. Sweetie Bell is currently at Big Mac's house for some reason. Let's go there. How did they track her down?
They just didn't know who to send it to, so they just returned it to the center.
Oh, that actually makes sense, yeah.
Wow.
Return to sender. All right.
Well, yeah, it's a good question. What is, I know Derpy has a child. If I remember, that's canon.
I mean, we know there's a tiny Derpy-looking pony, but whether or not it's a sister or a daughter is mostly left up to fan interpretation.
I'd hope it'd be a daughter. That's
it usually seems to be more a depiction of a little sister.
yeah. Either way.
I mean, that's what it is in the fanfic blonde moments. So
saying, I wonder who Derpy is coupled with.
I mean, a lot of people like to go with Doctor Who's.
With Doctor Who, yeah.
Those two definitely shared some hugs in Slice of Life. Yeah,
I know they did that with an episode, but I don't think they really.
They hinted at it to fuel the flames of the fandom.
Yes.
And our insatiable need to ship all the things.
I wonder if Doctor Who's is the Doctor Who's, with the TARDIS and whatnot.
I mean, we know we know he's lived a long time, because he mentioned like I've been studying science my whole life, which is like centuries, really. While pulling on a lever in a room that looked like the TARDIS, but really was just his house. And like the undulating thing in the center wasn't like the TARDIS's pumpy thing. It was just flameless fireworks floating in a jar of liquid. That requires love to ignite. And because they didn't ignite the second the two walked in, it's hard to tell. Well, anyway, so... But that's breakdown discussed. Next up is Molten. Gonna be noticing a theme with the names here. But I will say this. I really, really, really liked Molten. I liked it a lot.
That was great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, for one thing, I love the fact that Spike is, actually growing up and not just succumbing to greed and turning into a wild rampaging beast. It kind of reinforces a headcanon I've had in my head for a long time that the giant dragons that are found outside of the Dragonlands just hoard treasure and don't communicate much and are just like wildly aggressive and animalistic aren't necessarily grown up, but just succumbed to greed or some other vice of some description, leading to them losing their grip on civility and communication and becoming little more than rampaging beasts.
Yeah, that's kind of what Smolder said.
Yeah, I've always had that as a headcanon, and having it be a bit more asserted that dragons only ever really get that large if they're either centuries old or like really freaking greedy. It was nice to see that get addressed more acutely, because we know Ember's probably an adult by dragon standards, and yet she's like only a few heads taller than Twilight and Starlight. So yeah, it's nice to see that addressed. So the episode itself, I'm just going to kind of go through it point by point here for a little bit, I think. Starts off and we see Spike has what looks like a pimple. Very uncomfortable looking, like a scale's been knocked up. There's like a throbbing pimple on his face. It's gross. It's like a zit. We got to see Pee-wee again, and I didn't even know Pee-wee existed until this episode. because I missed Dragon Quest. I kind of skipped that one the second Garble showed up because... Please, no. Just no. Anything but him. No. Anyways, yes. But yeah, so Pee-wee, I learned that Pee-wee existed. Sue me later. And, we got some fun interactions between various characters. And I like to think that Spike episodes have a habit of either being really good or really bad. There's not really a middle ground to Spike episodes. They're either great or they're garbage. I like to think this is one of the greats, because we got to see some genuine growth on the part of his character. Oh, and so, of course, he starts getting like a breakout of blemishes and red scales and dark scales, sneezing uncontrollably in a massive torrent of flames. His body's incredibly itchy, his throat is dry and hoarse, and occasionally he can't control how loud he's talking, so either he's just talking in barely even a whisper, or he's shouting at the top of his lungs! One or the other. He can't modulate it himself because things are wrong. But eventually...
Performance was amazing.
And Smolder notices all of this happening and decides to give him a bit of electron draconic puberty. That was kind of interesting and led to me making a video called Them Smoldering Eyes. In which I confirmed that, oh yeah, these two are totally going to get shipped. Just look at that facial expression. Yeah, that's how that goes. But, so I followed along with that, and following that, Smolder revealed some information that began to really scare Spike, like the smell that comes with going through the molting process is apparently so abhorrent that oftentimes adult dragons will just kick the young right out. It definitely reinforces that draconic society is incredibly brutal and vicious, and only the hardy really make it very far. You have to be strong, you have to be hardy, you have to be resourceful and adaptable. If you're not any of those, or if you're missing one of those, chances are you're gonna die when you start to molt. Because it also attracts predators like rocks, ROKs, birds the size of dragons that will eat anything that looks like food. And a little dragon going through molting looks like food to a rock. So, Following from that, Spike decides he's going to go hide at Zeccora's house and hope that she has something to at least mitigate the stench. Some things happen. Rarity winds up swinging by because apparently she's gone deaf and is looking for Zecora to help her with that. And there is actually an explanation. Apparently phoenix feathers, if not handled properly, can harm a pony's hearing. I don't know why that is, but okay. Phoenix.
Tabitha's performance was also amazing.
Whose?
Rarity's voice actress.
Oh yeah, Tabitha. Yeah, she did a pretty darn good job of the deaf pony trying to communicate. It's like, I can't hear you. I only know you're talking because your lips are moving up and down. So, and all the while Spike was hiding, and he managed to and it was interesting and hilarious, that whole sequence. Rarity wound up screwing off after a little while, and Spike hid behind the house under a mask because Zecora just has masks. And it turns out he was hiding under the mask, not to be away from Rarity or the world, but because there was a rock overhead, and he was hiding from it. Zecora pulled the mask off and was like, why are you hiding down here? Because of that! And then they fell under attack from a rock. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson attacked them.
That's funny. It sounds like you're being attacked by a mineral than a bird.
or if you're really skewing the pronunciation, like you're being attacked by a Middle Eastern country. Which has more negative connotations than I'd care to get into here.
Yeah, let's not go into that.
Yeah. But
we're trying to appease the masses, not offend them.
I don't know about that, but anyway, so yeah, and the rock swoops in, abducts Rarity and Zecora, both of them, and Spike is trying to convince it, can you just drop them and eat me instead? I really don't want those two getting hurt. Come on, be a pal here. Pick me. And I don't know why Twilight suddenly showed up. It kind of didn't work as well as when Rarity showed up, because Rarity had a good reason for showing up. Twilight just kind of appeared. Just like...
I was just like, what?
Just like, hey, I'm here now. Is that a rock? Yep. I'm going to shoot it. And then she flew after it and started shooting it.
By was to get some, scratch cream, or what do you want to call it?
Yeah, but it was still... It still felt really forced. There was a reason given, but it didn't flow anywhere near as smoothly as the Rarity one. Anyways.
Yeah.
So Twilight goes after the rock after showing up to try and get it to let go of Rarity and Zecora. And Spike is still itching like crazy on the ground. And finally, all of a sudden, he gets encased in rock. Like actual full-blown stone. And there's a really kind of tense moment where there's no music, no ambient sounds. It's totally silent. The camera is slowly panning. We see a petrified Spike standing in the middle of a small clearing. And in the background, we can see the Rock flying around, still carrying Zecora and Rarity, with Twilight chasing after it, attacking it, both of them completely oblivious to Spike having become petrified, and their sounds are very distant and echoey. As a guy who works with sound a lot, I can really appreciate the way they handled the audio in that scene. Total silence, very gentle wind, and very distant echoes of Twilight fighting the Rock. It was beautiful. I really, really liked that moment. Beautifully done, whoever the audio engineer was there. You have my respect. Now, following that, the rocks then peel off of Spike in a big flash of light, and the crater forms under him. That was a detail I noticed. And after that happened, Spike, emerged from the rock, and here's the big thing that happened with this episode. The little guy sprouted wings. And already we have the hashtag Spike was better before he had wings meme going around.
Oh yeah, I know. It's talking to one of the people on the server, Night. It's like, yeah, people are gonna get offended with the Spike having wings now. It's like, why? He's a dragon.
Well, yes, but it's because if it's an MOP and you slap wings on something, people are gonna get offended. It's just how it goes after Twilight. People don't like change.
I think they'd make an exception for Spike because he's a dragon and
I've
dragons.
been waiting for him to either sprout wings or something, or have some other explanation as to why he doesn't have wings. We got the former. He sprouted wings, and they spent a little bit of time showing him trying to get used to them. Now I really want there to be like at least a part of a future episode that's dedicated to Rainbow Dash and Twilight trying to teach Spike how to fly properly. Because like in the heat of the moment, under adrenaline and such, he was doing really well with those wings. And probably, instincts as well. But I would like for him to have to spend some time to actually figure out how to use them more gracefully and practically. And I would love for, like, Twilight and Rainbow Dash to try and help him with that. I think it would make for a great character building moment, but we'll see.
Oh, I would love a Rainbow Dash Spike episode.
Oh, yeah. We haven't gotten one of those, I don't think.
Oh, yeah.
No, never.
So that would be so perfect opportunity. Do it. Anyway.
Yes.
So
it'd be better than an Applejack and Rainbow Dash episode.
I mean, those can be good, but the last one was this. I'm not even going to bother watching Non-Complete Clause. It does not exist to me. Anyways, so
the only part to live for that episode was the one changeling that goes to that school gets some screen time.
Yeah, I like Ocellus. She's cute. Anyways, so Spike kind of surprises Twilight by popping up next to her and she's like, "Do you have wings?" Yeah. Okay, can you distract the Rock? Uh-huh. He goes and expertly distracts the Rock, and eventually he just straight up breathes fire on its face in a torrent that consumes the whole thing. In a perfect few frames that are excellent meme material. And following that, it lets Rarity and Zecora go. The Rock flies off, deciding that it's no longer worth the hunt. That the trouble is not worth it. And the group reconvenes on the ground, talk about it for a little bit. Rarity is still deaf. And they kind of head on back to Ponyville, and Spike's still trying to figure out his wings a little bit, figuring he's still going to ride on Twilight's back just for the sake of resting up a bit and not overdoing it. And, Spike gives him that. But they get back to Ponyville, and Rarity is still being Rarity, taking full advantage of Spike's infatuation for her. But considering this is basically the draconic equivalent of puberty, tying back to him showing an interestingly vested interest in a cardboard cutout last episode, I'm curious to see if they might have him start exploring other options. But all in all, I really like this episode. I love it when characters get new additions or reach some sort of milestone, foreshadowed or not. I love character advancement, and this doesn't strike me as a negative one. This just strikes me as a natural progression of Spike's character, and I'm a fan. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I liked the episode pretty well. Just kind of hate Rarity for taking advantage of Spike, but
she's always been doing that. That's nothing new.
Yes.
I don't think she's taking advantage of him.
She's
They're
using
they're friends. And
she's using the fact that he can't say no to her.
I don't even. I want the crush thing to disappear because I think they would be really good, like best friends.
Yeah.
Yes. I
Get at
think
that.
Yeah.
to be honest, I think he should pursue other options of those his age.
Or at the very least grow out of his infatuation with Rarity.
Become dramatic best friends.
Yeah.
That's what I want from life.
Whatever the case, I mean, this was a well-handled episode, all things considered, I think. And interesting thing popped into my head while we were waiting for to be time to start recording. You know how before Spike's wings popped up, he was covered in red glows and red scales all over the place, like pimples, and he was scratching and itching, and then he sprouted wings and they were gone. This kind of made me think of the following up slightly twisted phrase. Red scales give you wings.
Well, to be honest, I think in the thing the red bars just turned to a darker purple.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, like, they were red, and he had red scales, and he sprouted wings.
Yeah,
And the red scales were part of the process that gave him wings. So my point still stands. Don't kill the joke. It's my job. It's my job to run it into the ground and kill it myself.
Yeah.
See, I can do it right now. Red scales give you wings.
And like that, the joke is already dead.
Yep. No, wait, hold on. I said it wrong. Yep. There we
Yep.
go. Yep. Wait.
5 minutes later of yelping.
Yelp. Yeah. Gotta love Big Mac.
Oh yeah.
Eh.
I like that one word he uses.
Which one?
The yep.
Oh, yeah, it's just yep with an elongated start.
Hey, you okay? Yep.
You're gonna take out the trash? Nope.
Unfortunately, I don't get that luxury to say no.
What about you, Tangi? Any particularly interesting or in-depth thoughts on Molten?
I really enjoyed how Twilight was only a tiny bit concerned about Rarity being eaten. He was just like, Rarity? Dang. But then when Spike popped up with wings, she was like, holy, what the heck? You have wings? Like, that was way more concerning.
I mean, Rarity being abducted isn't necessarily new. It happens. She's usually able to work her way out of it in some capacity. I mean, the Diamond Dog, she just annoyed them half to death. With Spike, when he got super greedy, she just guilt-tripped him without realizing it.
Yes.
This is probably one of the only times where she's been abducted by a more common enemy and was not able to work her way out of it on her own.
Out of the
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's just great continuity that Twilight's like, my friends are in danger. Just an average Tuesday.
Saturday. It's an average Saturday because the show airs on Saturdays.
Saturday or Mondays.
But then Spike showed up with wings, and that shook up the status quo. And I was like, wait, what? Can you breathe fire on it? Yes. Okay, go do. And then he went and he did.
She went right back into saving people's lives mode.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't wait for Twilight to strap him down to a table and start poking his wing joints to try and find reflex nerves. and taking extensive notes as he pokes and prods his body and does research on his new wings. Like, they're so tiny yet they support your weight. Oh my god, they're adorable and leathery. And can we put these on a pony? Can we get a pony with leathery wings? I want.
Yes, a bat pony.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
Yes. I just hope maybe like an episode or something like that. Bat pony moves to Ponyville.
I mean, I think we're getting something in the future where we get like a type of pony that shares traits with dragons at some point, but they're like so afraid of hurting each other's feelings that they just don't talk. They've adopted a silent community. It's like Chilean ponies or something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there. I just know something about a new breed of pony showing up later on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Might not even be a breed of ponies. Might just be deer. I'd like to start. I'd like to see some
The
reindeer.
deer.
I'd like to see some reindeer.
Oh, the deer suck.
Oh, Tanji, why do you betray me so?
You read the comics?
I have not, because they're not canon.
In the comics, they suck so much.
Well, I mean, the show's not the comics, so...
I haven't read any of the comics, so I don't really know.
I only read the first two plot arcs in the comics. Comics are fun, but they're not something you should really consider as being canon or take super seriously, because they're not.
I do. I love watching things and remembering that Rarity once went insane. That's always fun.
Yeah, but I mean, but there are too many problems with a lot of the stories in the comics that directly contradict with the show, or just don't make sense when you consider the show, and as such, are not. And so, as such, I generally discount the comics.
As I was saying, out of all the main six, I dislike its Rarity the most, because how many episodes have she really have shown too much good quality? If you know
Every
what I
episode
mean.
she's in.
Well, yes, but many of the episodes, like the one where her designs got stolen by a pony. I can't remember what her name was.
That
Stressed
definitely
and made a mistake and apologized for it.
Wait, what?
She got stressed
And the
made a
episode
mistake,
when
and
she-
apologized. Yeah, but that doesn't. But
Yeah.
that does not necessarily invalidate Paladin's point. She does not operate well under pressure.
Yes.
I mean, that is one of her flaws.
Yeah, and it's important to recognize that.
Stressed.
I mean, I do definitely like Rarity, but of the main six, she would have to be my least favorite.
Yes.
Can't talk to either of you.
Why?
Psst.
I
Hey,
mean,
if it-
I
it's
mean,
never
my,
has-
honest, Applejack's my number 2.
uh-oh. 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 I'm going
You know what
favorite.
Applejack doesn't do?
I'm going
It's apologize. She never does that.
This is because she's usually stubborn and whatnot. So
I'm just waiting for the nukes to drop.
We're gonna fight.
fight.
I-
Oh wait, it's just us two.
Like giving Applejack a spot anywhere on your favorite ponies list is cause enough for Tangerine to declare war on you. I do not want to be in the blast radius. I should probably come back so that I'm actually audible to you two. But
Alright.
before that escalates into all-out nuclear war between you two.
Nah, we're gonna continue on.
Yeah, I actually have one
Okay.
more topic I had planned. We managed to stretch out, talk about the episodes for a good 40 minutes, so I'm proud of that. Let me just make sure we're actually still recording in that. Yep, we're still recording. We're still good. Okay, so I do have one more topic I kind of want to cover. I might have covered this on Jibber Jabber before, and it's not really so much anything relating to MLP or anything I've worked on. It's just kind of a funny anecdote that I kind of want to share more than anything else. Specifically, it's the time that I got my butt kicked by my own house. This is a funny story. This was a couple years ago on Halloween, and everyone else was gone from the house. It was just me and the cat, right? Now, I kind of wanted to just meander around town and scare people because I don't trick-or-treat anymore. I'm too old for that. So I donned a costume of a bunch of black things. I had like 4 different pairs of black sweatpants that I draped through like a black cloth belt, and they sort of acted kind of like waist capes or whatever the heck you call those. And they were just kind of there to create like a billowing effect whenever a breeze goes by. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so there's usually a breeze of some description. So, but here's the thing. When I left my house, I forgot my key, and every single door was locked. You can see where this is going.
Yes.
Especially, and it especially doesn't help because the actual main floor of the house is on the 2nd story. The first floor was the basement and storage area. you have to take a flight of stairs up to the front door, and there are not many windows around there. This was the last house I lived at, by the way. I've moved since then.
I was gonna say, is this your old house or your new house?
Yeah, my old house. So my new house doesn't have that problem. It just has screens over the windows, easy enough to remove and replace if need be. I haven't had to do that yet so far, so I'm counting my blessings for that. Anyways, so, things, yes. So, I spent about an hour or so just walking around town, local neighborhoods, hiding in shadows and spooking people as they walked by. It was great fun, but the stress of the fact that I'd locked myself out of my house was eating at my mind, and so eventually I decided to go back and try and find a way in. And, I couldn't. There was no way. Every window was closed and locked, save for one. And I could open it, but I didn't have a good vantage point or leverage to climb in. I tried everything to get back into this house. I tried climbing up to a small little balcony walkway thing right next to my bedroom, but I couldn't reach it with my hands, even from the stairs rails. So I tried to take all the different pairs of pants that I brought and the end of my belt to try and make a makeshift grappling hook and throw it up there, but that never worked. And even if it managed to land up there, it would never hook around anything to give me a good climbing angle. So I kind of just kept basically smacking the rail and the edge of the thing, making loud thunks and dongs. I was worried someone was going to call the police because they would think I was a burglar. I kept trying. I tried just... The part where I say it kicked my butt is the part where I tried to climb in through one of the windows. You see, the stairs had, I'd say, about 1 or 2 feet separating the edge of the stairs from the actual wall of the house, running parallel. So there's sort of a little falling space, a little empty space in between. And of course, the stairs also had a slick metal rail, and it's the Pacific Northwest. It was damp. But still, I tried to climb up on it with the hope of jumping to that window, and I could manage to reach the window. I was able to reach it and push it open and dangle from it, but I did not have the upper or lower body strength to actually lift myself into it. I was too fat and my legs carried too much of my weight down. I did not have the ability to haul myself up. And one time I wasn't able to move my legs back to actually catch the rail and keep myself from falling. I lost my grip and fell. A whole story between the stairs and the house itself. This is where I actually got my butt kicked because I wound up just stumbling out of that little crook with a few new scrapes and bruises, kind of dazed and annoyed. It was a very stressful evening. Eventually, I just decided, screw this! I've had enough of getting my own butt kicked by where I live. I'm gonna go take a nap on the back porch. And so, I took my cloak that I'd been wearing as part of my costume, all the pairs of pants that I'd been using as waist cloaks, went to the back porch, used the pants as a pillow, my cloak as a blanket, and I took a nap. About an hour later, my brother and mother came back because my brother was, bringing mom from work, and they let me in. And that is the story of how I got my butt kicked by my own house.
I bet you had a bit of an explaining to do.
I was just telling him I locked myself out of the house, and I'm like, oh, okay. So they let me back in. I didn't have to explain much. It wasn't all that complicated. It was just yeah, I kind of just screwed up. Can I come back inside now? I want to grab some lunch. or dinner, rather. It was late. It was 11 p.m. But that was that story.
Very interesting.
It was a fun day. You can just smell the sarcasm in my voice. It doesn't help because I was still dealing with depression at the time, and I'd just gone through a really deep and emotionally involved personal ritual earlier that day, and then I got locked out of my house later. And it's I should be feeling really great right now because I finally managed to let go of something that's been bugging me for years, but I can't because I'm locked out of my own house. I was displeased. I felt better in the morning, though, after I had a good night's sleep and a nice hot shower.
That is rich.
Yeah, I think so. And with that, I have run out of pre-planned topics. So, Tanji, talk to us. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here. We got like 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
Are you planning on going to any more conventions this year?
Not this year, no. At least not that I can think of. Everfree, I only consider going to Everfree Northwest because I live in the same state, so it was easier to get to. But I don't make enough money for other conventions to be feasible. So, no. I might go to Everfree Northwest again next year. I'm not sure. It depends on how things are going when it comes closer to time.
Same for me over here where we have the Rena Fair.
Yeah.
Fun place to go.
I will say this, though. I already talked about this in my video where I went over all the pictures I took while I was at Everfree Northwest, but it was a fun time. I enjoyed myself a lot. Met some neat people, got some interesting insights onto how the show is made and the people who work on it. I got to ask the guy who voiced Starswirl the Bearded if he'd be willing to improvise Starswirl being absolutely baffled by the mere concept of a hay burger. He said no. But the fact that I got to ask it all is more than enough for me.
Yeah. I wonder if Starswirl will be in more episodes or not.
Hard to tell. The Pillars might.
Dang.
What was that, Tanji?
The Pillars haven't been in the yet.
Yeah. They haven't been in this season yet. I hope they do something with them. Maybe an episode dedicated to showing, them trying to adapt to modern Equestria. Because, they kind of said at the end of Season 7, we're going to head out, we're going to explore, and we're going to relearn this world because it has changed since our time.
Yes, and like I said, those are one of the two things I've been looking forward to see in this season.
Yeah, so...
The other one is Tempest.
We might not be seeing any Tempest this season, but who knows? Maybe.
Oh, Tempest would be way too expensive to bring back.
Because of the actress, yeah.
We're not going to have any of those show people back.
What's the matter with...
Honey.
The person who voiced Tempest is an expensive voice actress.
Ow.
So unless they give her a really damn good impressionist, no.
Yeah, they could hire someone with less, maybe. Who knows?
It would irritate everyone in the fandom if she showed up and had a different voice, though, because, it's the same reason why you can't give Vinyl a reason that isn't no-whacking in the show, because everyone will rip you a new one if you do that.
He's not keen on, cutting corners just to have things like that happen.
Yeah. If you're gonna do it right.
Oh, yeah.
And if you can't do it right, just don't do it. Just because it can doesn't mean you should.
So, Tanji, you ever heard of an MLP comic that's been posted on YouTube called Crazy Future?
Don't think so.
It's a long video, but it's pretty fun.
As long as we're talking about MLP comics, there's actually one I kind of want to bring up now that I think about it. I might have talked about it before, but it's called Dash Academy, and it's basically one of those, high school, college drama type things. And normally those make me cringe out of my mind. Normally they're so cringy, but I'm able to give this one a pass for a variety of reasons. One of which being that I just think it's being handled fairly well.
Pass? Dash Academy's amazing.
Yeah. I'm definitely enjoying it. I can't wait for the next page to come out. Like Dash and Gilda are stuck in a basement right now, last I checked. because Dumbbell or whatever his name is definitely a dumb bell. and an arse.
There we go.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's cool.
Crazy Future, 170 years after season 4.
Okay, well, boy, then. That actually reminds me, for some reason, I know you're running 2 full-time jobs right now, Tangy, but have you written anything new since the last time you were on here?
Things been put on the back burner a little. I'm trying to make some paintings to sell at BronyCon. So writing has been.
Oh, you do artwork too?
I do everything.
Oh well.
I make videos. I draw.
Tangy's the jack of trade.
Allow me to try and find you on
Just-
DeviantArt, because that's a thing I want to do now.
On DeviantArt in a while. It's mostly on Tumblr.
She has a hand just in about everything artsy.
I mean, that's amazing. Spread your influence. My train of thought just died.
Yes.
Lots of PMVs. Contests. I need to do that for BronyCon too.
Yep, I found you. And I'm just gonna hit that watch button. Blip, blop, bloop. And last visit was 47 weeks ago. Yeah. Okay. No kidding, you haven't been there in a while. You were not joking. Yeah, I don't really do much drawing. I mean, I do draw some things occasionally, but not with the intent of, like, making something good or great or anything like that. What I make is something, I get an idea in my head, and I just kind of want to get it out, so and if I don't have anything else I'm doing, I'll draw it, thump it in the Art and Photos channel in my server, and call it a day. That's kind of what happened recently when I drew a picture of a fallen Alicorn Rainbow Dash from the Little Flashes series.
So is that what you're gonna start calling those now?
You mean a Nightmare Moon or Daybreaker or that?
Yes.
I've been calling them that.
I know.
I came up with the term fallen Alicorn back when I was halfway through writing Little Choices, which was a few months ago.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a term that works. I mean, Alicorns are oftentimes depicted as being highly angelic, but they have these dark sides that can manifest in the, like Nightmare Moon, Daybreaker, Midnight Sparkle. Who knows what Cadence would be? like she'd be like a succubus or something. And so the idea there is that, like, you have these angelic figures that can descend to the great and become the greatest evils under the wrong circumstances, which kind of brings to mind the notion of, like, a fallen angel, an entity of profound grace and beauty and goodness that descends and becomes something of abhorrent evil and disgust and abomination type stuff. So that's kind of the idea behind the naming convention that I came up with, and I think it works.
Yeah. Dylan, you want to talk about that little moment yesterday?
What moment?
When we were chatting and you're playing Final Fantasy, it's like, oh, I transformed into an angel. And I'm like, what?
I mean, it's not a very long topic.
Yeah, it's a short one.
Yeah,
but it's fun nonetheless.
Okay. So, I play an MMORPG called Final Fantasy XIV, and I'm in the end game. I'm all caught up with the main story, and it is a really good main story, mind you. If you like good stories, you should check it out. It's pretty much what keeps me into the game. But I was running some side content, trying to level up an alternative class, and while running through the content, it's called the Palace of the Dead, and some context is required to fully understand the joke here. In the Palace of the Dead, you go through 10 floors at a time, and you get these things called pomanders, which are like magical stones that if you break upon the floor will imbue you, your party, or the floor you are on with magical properties. And one of these you can use to transform yourself into one of 3 things depending on the variety you get. You can either become a manticore, which basically one-shot kills everything that isn't the floor boss. Excuse me, I sense a burp coming on. Excuse me. You can turn into a succubus, which does immense amounts of magic damage from afar, or you can become what is essentially an angel. It has a different name, but I don't actually know what that name is off the top of my head, but you can become an angel, basically, and they do area of effect, high-powered, light damage, holy magic damage. And I didn't realize that was a thing. I got the pomander that lets me turn into an angel, but I didn't realize that using it would turn me into an angel. It just said temporarily transforms the user into an insert unrecognizable name here. I'm like, I wonder what this is. I'm gonna use it. I popped it when we got to the boss, and I turned into an angel. I was in the middle of talking to Paladin over Discord when I did this. We were just kind of chatting back and forth. I wasn't too involved with just talking with my party because it's kind of it's an autopilot almost kind of thing once you've done it a bunch. So we were just talking about random stuff, and all of a sudden, without any warning, I just say to him, "Oh, I just become an angel." He was
he actually thought you turned into an angel. Like, what the fuck?
Language. No. Feathery wings did not suddenly sprout from my back in real life. I'd be a bit more panicky if that suddenly happened, and probably going into shock-induced death, because 2 new limbs that I didn't have a moment before, complete with nerve endings, bones, muscles. Yeah, my brain's not going to take that sudden rush of new information. Well, I'm going to die.
Yes.
But I'd be like, what the? And then like fall over dead.
What I just said a second ago was that's what my reaction if that was actually true.
Yeah. No. So, but considering I just kind of said it out of nowhere and then you started laughing is kind of where that whole joke just kind of comes from. You weren't expecting it. It was the surprise factor.
Yes. Yeah,
so have you ever had your hand bitten? So tell me, have you ever had your hand bitten by a dog and then blown up an entire solar system from your screams of pain?
No.
Good. You don't live in an anime world.
Some of us do wish that was possible.
I don't. That would be horrible.
It depends on the world. So
I mean, the specific anime I'm referring to, someone got bit in the hand by it. It's a comedy anime. I forget its name off the top of my head, which is sad because I kind of want to watch it. But it's a slice of life anime, slice of life comedy, kind of childish graphics and the like. One of its big selling points with its comedy, though, is extreme overreactions. And in a lot of slice of life anime, the animation budget is kind of limited because you don't have a lot of epic stuff going on. No, here they have a huge animation budget and they abuse the crap out of it. Because at one point, a character meets a dog and tries to get it to sniff her hand, and the dog, instead of sniffing her hand, bites her hand, just clamps its teeth down, just There's this moment of silence, all sound cuts away. And then, like something out of a freaking shonen, like DBZ or Bleach, there's a blast of air from the person who got bit. Dust is kicked up. The sky turns dark, and they start glowing. They look up at the sky, their eyes screwed shut in pain and agony, and then their eyes open up along with their mouths. Bright blue light is shining from their eyes and their mouth, and a beam of energy shoots out of their mouth, coinciding with their screams of misery and agony from the dog's teeth having sunk into their hands. And this beam shoots through a skyscraper, reducing it to little more than pulverized dust, and then through every single planet in the solar system, blowing each one up in succession in only a few seconds. And all the while, we hear this person's long, one-note scream of pain, just, and then it suddenly cuts to them cradling their hand in front of their chest in the fetal position on the floor, with the dog just happily sitting there, just, and all of that destruction has been miraculously undone. The whole point is extreme overreactions. And it's beautiful, and I kind of want to watch it. Comment section, if any of you know in the comments what anime I'm talking about, post its name. I want to go look it up. And if any of you say it's called Darude Sandstorm, I will shank you. I'm getting sick and tired of people doing that. What's the name of what's the name of this song? Listen to Epic Choir Music. Oh, it's called Darude Sandstorm. No, it's not, you liar. Epic Choir Music is not Darude Sandstorm. No, this is Darude Sandstorm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to like pull.
I remember an anime called Gate when they're making an offensive on a primitive settlement. To make things dramatic, they played music from one of the choppers, dun 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 dun, something like that.
Flight of the Valkyries. Anyways, before we go any further on that tangent, it's actually time for us to close off. But before I say my outro, Tangy, you got any parting words? Paladin, either you got parting words for the audience? Anything?
Rarity is the best.
Fair enough. And Paladin, you?
Work hard and live your dreams.
I mean, that's
I don't
not
know.
that's not quite what I had in mind, but sure, why not? Let's end this on an inspirational note. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Jibber Jabber. Thank you all very much for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Keep your ears open and keep listening, people. Bye-bye.